All right. Hello and welcome, everyone. We are so excited to have you joining us today. We appreciate you taking the time to be here with us on this Tuesday afternoon. I am Megan Davies, the head of growth here at RUX, and today I am joined by Darren Christofferson, our product manager. A couple of housekeeping items before we get started. This session is live, so we are happy to answer any questions you may have along the way. Drop those in the chat at any time, and we'll be sure to answer those the best we can. We are also recording today's session, and we will share that recording with you after the event, so there's no need to take any frantic notes. So before we get started, let's dive into a little bit about us. We are a new brand that has been in the works for about a year and formally launched back in August. Understanding the gaps that we had in the industrial equipment and asset managed market, RUX acquired Open Door Technology, a 30-year-old leader in the rentals and service space. And then to further extend our capabilities, RUX acquired ERP Connect Consulting and their extremely popular BC Toolbox product suite. With over 30 productivity, dashboarding, and automation tools designed for all Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central users, RUX is dedicated to making your daily work easier and your data more meaningful. We are proud to have over 70 partners and more than 500 end customers worldwide who trust RUX to help run their business every day. It's been an amazing journey so far, and we're thrilled to share a bit of that innovation and experience with you. To go over our core group of people that we serve and the industries that we are after, this is a pretty comprehensive list of everyone that we work with today that our tools are specifically built for. So today, as Darren goes through the Asset Management 101 pieces of RUX Rentals and RUX Service, we're happy to say that these are built with the product development done working directly with our customers. So I would love to introduce you to Darren Christofferson, our product manager, who will be walking through our agenda.
Okay, so we're going to do fixed assets and rentals from the creation to disposal. I'm going to talk about a few different ways to create a fixed asset, how to link a rental unit to a fixed asset and a service unit. I'm going to look at why we try and manage fixed assets in groups. We're going to look at some options when checking availability and how we can manage some setup to make that a little bit easier. How we can service the fixed asset, and some history on both the rental side, the service side, and then maybe some metrics to be able to see how we're doing on ROI. And then finally, disposal of the fixed asset and how that affects the rentals and service side as well. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen now, and it's time for demo. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about fixed assets, right? So we can look up the fixed asset module directly from the search menu. And inside the fixed asset module, the simplest, the most simple way to do that would be to create it manually. And I've got a number series set up. I can enter my the unit number or the description. I'm going to say this is a light truck. And then I can add some additional information about the FA class and subclass. If I look it up, this is obviously a vehicle, so it'll automatically drop in the tangible version of the FA class. I can specify some location codes and whatnot, but as we know, if it's a fixed asset, we're going to depreciate it. I'm going to use the default for straight line. We're going to say it's as of today. My work date is 1/15. I'm going to say we're depreciated over 5 years. Okay, automatically creates it. Now we're ready to acquire. So I can use the acquire button directly inside of fixed assets to say, yeah, I'm going to charge this to a GL account for equipment, right? Operating equipment, sure. Okay. It's in our local currency. I'm going to say 50,000 for this pickup, and we're going to post it as of today. I'm going to go automatically post the FAGL journal, and now you can see I've got a book value of 50,000. It's created that light truck for me, and I'm basically ready to do anything I need to do on the fixed asset side. Okay. Now, if I wanted to link this to a rental unit, I can come into the rentals and look at my rental unit list. I'm going to add a new one. and I'm going to say this is FA 200, I believe is what it came up as. I can't really remember exactly what it was, but you'll see in a minute here what I'm getting at. So I'm going to select my product posting group would be rentals, tax group will be rentals. I'm going to say this is going to belong to the light truck or half-ton truck group. And then the link. So I'm going to use a fixed asset, and I'm going to look up into my FAs. There's my 200. Okay, so I've now created a rental unit. It's part of a group already, and it's included that fixed asset 200 as part of that group, and it's got the link to the fixed asset. Now, if I wanted to add it as a service unit, I can go into the service units, and I can create a new one in here. I'm going to add a new one. We're going to automatically select the description, and then we're going to say this one is FA 200 to match what the rental unit is. And now I'm going to say attaching this to a rental unit that is also FA 200. There it is. Okay. Yes, we're tracking metered usage, so we'll sync those. And now I can specify which company this belongs to. This is my internal company. And then I can specify which planned maintenance group it belongs to. I'm going to select light truck. And at this point, I can also say, yeah, this was a Ford F-150. And then anything else, its acquisition date was 01/15, I believe. We can make the in-service date 1/15. And now we're basically ready to use this unit inside of service. Okay, so we manually created a fixed asset. We manually created the rental unit and linked it to the fixed asset, and then manually created the service unit and linked it to the rental unit. So now all three of those entities are linked together. Now there's a couple other ways that are much, much, much easier. The first one is let's look at fixed assets directly. And on the fixed asset card, there is an option to auto create rental and service unit on purchase. So if this is a unit that we're going to buy for our own company and then automatically create a rental unit for it and automatically create a service unit for it, then I can set that up easily at this point. And then when I actually purchase this on a purchase document, it'll automatically create the rental unit based on the half-ton truck group with my tax group and my general product posting groups. And then it'll automatically create a service unit with the maintenance group, light truck, and the manufacturer of RAM. Okay, so let's try that. So I'm going to go into the purchasing. I'm going to go into purchase orders. I'm going to create a new purchase order. And we're going to say vendor 10,000 was the one we gone to, and the vendor invoice numbers looks something like that. And now I'm going to take the type, change that to fixed asset. I'm going to find my 2020 RAM 1500, and it automatically drops in acquisition as the type. I'm going to say one of those, and let's say we got it for 56,000. Now I drive a Ram, and that's not accurate whatsoever, but we'll just say that's where we're at. I'm going to post this, and on receive an invoice, we'll see that now I should have a new rental unit in the rental unit list under the fixed asset group with RAM 1500. And for this particular one, it's automatically linked it to a service unit. Service unit 50 is added. So you can see what took me about 5 minutes and I was flying through it, right, is now 10 seconds. Okay. The other thing that you can do is you can copy. So let's say I've got a RAM 1500 right there. I can also use copy rental unit. And inside copy rental unit is the opportunity. Sorry, I got to just see what my number series is at here. So let's do LT16. Okay. So I'm going to go back in. I'm going to do copy rental unit, and I'm going to say the new one is going to be LT17. Okay. I can do any number. I'm going to just go ahead and say I'm going to buy a couple of them. I can automatically create the fixed asset by marking create fixed asset. I can specify a fixed asset template. I'm going to take a minute and just talk about what this is. So in this fixed asset template, I've got some depreciation book information. Actually, let's go ahead and do that from another place. Templates. So there's my fixed asset template. Okay, and in here, that's the wrong one. That's fixed asset 2 is the one I use, sorry. And inside here, we've got response. Oh, that's not the right one either. Where am I looking here? Fixed asset template rentals. This is the one, my bad. FA999. Okay, so inside here, we've got some things. We've automatically populated class code, subclass code, location code is going to be blank, rental location code is going to be blank, but I've got a nested template that is for depreciation books. So you can see I've got a related template called FAD000. And if I go to FAD000, depreciation book, then we have the option to specify what other things could happen in the depreciation side. So depreciation book code company, depreciation method straight line, FA posting group, equipment, and then I can say I want it to automatically populate the number of depreciation years from this configuration template. Now you can set up multiple templates. You can see I got a bunch in here. And then you can just choose the one that makes sense. Okay. And then you can see I've got the ability to populate what the depreciation start date should be inside the copy rental unit action with a number of different things. So I'm going to, I could copy categories, attributes, dimensions, extended text, yada, yada, yada. Categories are automatically cascaded from the group. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. Same with attributes. Dimensions are probably populated at the group level as well. So that doesn't really make sense if we're adding a unit that's already inside a group. On the service side, I can automatically create the service unit. I can specify which customer it's going to be linked to and which maintenance group it's going to be associated with. Okay, so from here, go ahead and trigger it. Okay, so I can modify the descriptions. If I have a VIN number, I can enter those here. I can override the location code because it's copying the location code from the original document, which was another RAM. I'm going to go ahead and just say okay with that. And now I should have, there's 17 and 18 are RAM 1500s at the main location. And again, it automatically created the fixed asset for me. Okay, what it did not do is acquire it. So I still have to go through the same process of acquiring fixed assets, but it automatically created all of those related items as well as the service unit. And if I look up the service unit, you'll see that it's populated my company for me. Okay, it's populated my maintenance group. It's automatically created a meter, and this is based off of the meter that was on the original, and it copies that information over automatically. So again, couple quick ways to get the fixed asset created. I've got one more. And we've got another feature that is based on kind of an assembly process. I'm not going to get into the assembly, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with an assembled item, right? So in this case, I'm going to say it's a trailer. And inside the item card, I can specify whether I want to use this to transfer to rental. Okay, so from this, I can say, here's my default fixed asset template and the rental unit group it's going to belong to once it's been transferred. Okay, so in the inventory transfer to rental window, I can say, I'm just going to transfer one. We're going to go from east to east. There it is. Okay. I'm going to use I'm sure I can use FA number series if I want, or I can specify what number I want. I can sync dimensions from the rental unit to from the item to the rental unit, sync dimensions to the fixed asset as well. And I can show journals and post manually, or I can have them auto post for me. So we're going to go ahead and just run that. Insufficient quantity at east, available is 0. Okay, let me check inventory. Oh, there's my problem. I've got none at east. I'm just going to do a quick adjust inventory. And then we'll go through the same process. Inventory transfer to rental, 1, east to east, boom. Okay, let's sync. All right, so now you'll see that my net net quantity has dropped. If I look at the inventory, it's now showing I only have 9 in the east location. That's because it's basically removed that 1 out of the inventory, and it's included it onto the rental side. So if I go into rental units, where's my trailer group? And there's my new assembled trailer that's been transferred over. And my fixed asset is the assembled trailer unit. And you can see that its book value matches the book value that was on the inventory item as a cost, right? So it's automatically acquired it during that process. Okay, so that's a nice little action. In this case, we did not create a service unit, so that's the next piece I'm going to talk about is how to create a service unit. From a rental unit, we have, again, I could do it manually. I could go over onto the service unit list, create a new service unit, and then say, here's the related rental unit. But we've also got a function to create service unit. And it says, you want to, are you sure? Yes, say yes. And now in here, I just choose my customer and my maintenance group, light trucks. And if I wanted, I could add the meter. I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to say, yep. And now it's automatically included that new service unit for me and the light truck group. Okay, so few different ways to create the fixed asset, the rental unit, and the service unit. Some easier than others, depending on how you want to use it. If you use assembly, the inventory transfer to rental is kind of a slick piece to get it into the rental fleet and start depreciating. Okay. Now we're going to talk about our rental list. So you can see here, I've got a trailer group with 3 fixed assets inside it that all belong to the trailer group. Same thing with my half-ton truck group, right? A number of units inside that. So why do we track fixed assets in groups? Okay, so the most obvious piece is to make it easier to manage. And in there, I can manage the rental prices at the group level, and then they'll automatically be applied to all of the units across the entire group. So in this case, I've got a couple of prices that are already set up on that half-ton truck group, okay? And then as soon as I add a rental unit that belongs to the half-ton truck group, it'll apply one of those prices based on the rental term codes that's set up, either for the line, for the customer, for the contract, or wherever that happens to come from, okay? So now, what else? We've got something called rental categories. And you can see in this case, I've got a class 2A truck category. If I look at this, I'm going to look at the full list. So I've got a few things. I've got some nested categories. So I've got light duty trucks, and I'm going to just view this one. And you'll see that I've got attributes that are included in there. Bed length, which is an option, short or long bed, and fuel type, which is also an option, diesel or gas. Okay, and so from the light duty truck category, I've created other categories that are children of it, right? So class 1 truck would be a small like eighth ton or quarter ton, I guess they're called. But this is the one that we're using in that group. And if I look at what it's showing all of its attributes are inherited from its parent group. Okay, so now when I actually get into the individual units inside that group, I can say, which attributes belong to which group or to which individual units. So this is the group card. Here's an actual fixed asset. And in here, I can say, well, this happens to be a short bed and gas. Okay, now if I look at, well, there's a few different ways that I can use those attributes to see what type of availability I have. I can filter by attributes directly on this page, and I'll say, show me, sorry, where all the long beds. Boom. Okay, easy to see. We can see what's on rent, what isn't. Um, if I go to the group availability matrix, okay, this is a similar cross section of all of the units that are inside our fleet. And if I go and look at the actual units inside the half-ton truck group, then inside here, I can filter on attributes again. And again, show me all the long beds that are diesel. Boom, I've got 3. Okay, so if somebody calls up and says, hey, I need a long bed that's diesel, I'm going to be towing something, easy way to come in and take a look at what I've got available, right? Similar functionality at the availability calendar level. So again, rental availability calendar. If we're familiar with this inside of rentals, you'll know that it shows availability across all of the different groups and the units inside the group. So I've already got 3 on rent, 1 that's in for service, and you can do the similar filter by attributes inside the availability calendar. Okay, I won't bother going in there because it's fairly similar. Okay, what else is available on the rental units? So again, I'm going to talk about a couple other things. We talked about prices. We talked about categories and attributes. We can also do attachments. Okay, so in this particular case, I just got a document that I attached to the group level, and I said flow to rental transactions. Now you can also flow it to service transaction. If you have a maintenance document that you want to put into the group and have that flow to service documents, you can add similar functionality. And now you'll see that when I include it on a rental quote or rental contract, and I believe this one I created earlier, you'll see I've got a rental line attachment, and you'll see that same document has automatically been added to my rental document out of the box, and it doesn't matter which units I add, it's going to be included even if you don't use the group line. If it just belongs to a group and there's been a document attached to it, then it'll automatically flow. Okay. So prices, categories, attributes, attachments, those are all things that we can manage at the group level, makes things much easier. And then obviously availability across groups. That's the other thing that I should probably mention. You probably noticed when I looked at the rental quote, I'm able to specify which group I'm going to be quoting for, but I don't have to specify the individual fixed asset or actual unit that will be shipped out. So this is a great way to be able to say quote without using up availability of actual units inside the group. Now, quotes don't have reservations automatically created for them, but if I don't know which unit is going to be going out the board or out the yard, then this is a great way, because as soon as I say make contract, it'll create that rental contract, move all of the attachments and whatnot over with it. And then when I select my actual units, right, I can look it up and see what availability I have from this basic lookup, or I can use the availability calendar, and then I can drag my units down. So now that it's actually become a contract, I know this guy probably wants No, don't create a delivery ticket. Boom. No. Okay, so I've assigned those two Ram 1500s from the main location, and you'll see that it's populated over on the rental side. So now I know which assets are actually going out the door. Now it makes sense to actually put those on the contract. Okay. All right. One more piece that I want to show that is fairly recent addition to rentals is inside of rental management setup. We have the ability to do rental unit attribute assignments. And what this does is allow us to add the units attributes in a specified order, and then they'll show up in the rental list, and we can filter and sort on them. So this is similar to the setup that's already in Business Central for dimensions, right? We can specify shortcut dimension 1 is whatever, right? Shortcut dimension 2 is whatever, right? It doesn't restrict us on the number of dimensions we can have, similar to attributes in rentals, but it allows us to basically say, here's my list, and now I can see there's all of my attributes. So I can see right in the list the units that are short and long, and then I can see, okay, so there's a diesel. I can see that's not on rent. I should be able to rent that, no problem. Okay. Also in the views, they have a rental unit attribute view. Okay, that doesn't show a lot of the other information, that just shows the attributes if that's something you need. And again, just like anything in Business Central, if it's missing something you need, you can modify it to match your particular needs. So it's just a view that's been saved, and you can modify the view, and add additional views. Okay. All right. What if something goes wrong? Let's go ahead and we're going to go back to the rental unit list. Okay, so now we've got this particular unit, one that's not on rent. Okay, so if somebody comes back and says, hey, we need to put this rental unit in for service. Okay, there's a few different ways you can do that. From the rental unit card, if it's linked to a service unit already, there's an action to create service ticket. Okay. So I can automatically create a service ticket from a rental unit if there's automatically already a rental unit that's created. Now I can say fix flat tire, right? And just like any way that we're servicing assets, I can add what I think some budgets will be. And I'm going to say this is going to take, 2 hours of labor. Okay. And then once I've released this, I can assign it to a technician, and then that technician can go ahead and do that work. Okay, so that's probably one of the easier way to do an ad hoc service ticket. Okay, I can create a service ticket manually, right? That doesn't mean I have to go back to the rental unit. If it just shows up in the service bay, I can create service ticket manually. Right? I would say create new, and I'll let the service ticket number series select which number. I'm going to go ahead and say this is it's an internal piece of equipment. So I'm going to say Darren Co., which is my internal company. I'm going to say my service unit number is, where's my light trucks? There we go. So light truck. Okay. And then from here, I can add a template, right? I've got, oil change, light truck. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's say, it didn't show up in our planned maintenance. We'll automatically do that. And just like before, release it. And I can now assign it to a technician, right? From the service ticket visual resource scheduler. Okay, there's my new fixed flat tire. We'll assign that to Darren. And then light truck oil change, we'll put that on Darren as well. And now you can see it's tracking my resource capacity in the visual resource scheduler as well. I am totally underutilized but that's because this is a demo database. All right, so that's the service from a rental unit, service from creating a service ticket manually. If the rental unit is on a rental contract, this is a piece that's quite nice. From the rental unit, now you saw that there was a pop-up that asked me if I wanted to create a delivery inspection for this unit when I added it onto the ticket. If you'd said yes to that, it would create a planned maintenance ticket for the delivery inspection, which is just a template that I've created for a half an hour, make sure the truck is in good shape before it heads out the door. If it's on rent and something goes south, I can create a service ticket directly from a rental contract. So in this particular case, the customer is a School of Fine Art, and based on a setup in rental management setup, oops, there's the ability to say which customer. Oops, it's in service management, my bad. RUX service management setup. I can specify the customer that's automatically created on a service unit or on a delivery or return inspection. This is also utilized when we add from a rental contract. So if I now say LT00006 needs to have some work done, if I create the service ticket, yes, I still want to add it. Okay, so now it's added the School of Fine Art as the customer. And if it was damage done by the customer, fix damage, then I can charge it back by selecting the chargeback option. And because it's got a link to the rental contract, it will add sales lines for whatever was used to fix the damage. So let's just add, we're going to say a resource. Let's say labor was an hour, and I'm going to say an inventory item was used. I don't know what I have. Let's see if I have. We're going to say that the air filters was replaced at the same time. We're going to charge that back to the customer. Okay, so now that we have the service ticket details, once I select chargeback, I have the option to do chargeback to the rental. Now you can see 2 lines have been added to the rental contract. And if I look down under the, into the service section, there's my 2 lines that have been drawn over from the service ticket. So, right, resource, labor resource, and the air filter. That's pretty cheap air filter though. Okay, so those are a few different ways to create a service ticket. Let's talk about planned maintenance a little bit. So planned maintenance works a little different, but the actual, it works different in the creation process. Okay, a service ticket is created ad hoc, don't know what's coming in, something happens, we have to go and fix it. Planned maintenance, on the other hand, we have something called a planned maintenance worksheet. Okay, and in the planned maintenance worksheet, we can calculate plan based on the, I've already got some planned maintenance tickets running. There you go. I shouldn't have done that. My bad. Let's go ahead and calculate plan based on the light truck maintenance group for the work date that's currently in the system. Okay, so nothing else was added. If we say use predictive usage, or actually, okay, so use predictive usage is based on meters. We can change the service as at date and see what's going to be due for anything on a date base. And then we can calculate plan. As you can see, number of other units have been added in here once we calculate based on a future date. And there's some of there's my FA 200 that I added manually. And you can see that it's due for a replaced air filter on 4/15. We ran service as at date on 4/30, and that's a recurring template that happens every 3 months, I believe. So when I select the line, I can go create the planned maintenance ticket. Okay. And you'll notice that I have one ticket per customer selected. If I selected multiple uh, service units for the same customer, we could create them all at a single time, and then add them on the same ticket. They don't have to be on their own tickets. But from the actual planned maintenance worksheet, I can view the ticket that's been created. Okay, because this is an internal asset, it's been selected for the customer as the internal company. And replace air filter only has a budget amount, no billable amount. We're not going to send an invoice to ourselves. But just like the service tickets, once I release this, it can now be assigned to a service technician. Go back into the visual resource scheduler, and now we should be able to see there's my replace air filter that's been included. We'll add that to Darren's to-do list as well. You can see my resource capacity is increased. Or yeah, the amount used has increased. My capacity doesn't increase. Okay, so processing the planned maintenance from the planned maintenance worksheet. So that's the difference really between service and planned maintenance, is just how it's created. One is on a schedule, whether that schedule is date-based or if it's meter-based, could be on miles, kilometers, hours, whatever you can track in the system. Okay, most common, especially for a light truck, would be miles or kilometers, depending on where you're at. Okay, now let's take a look at some of the history. I'm going to go back into my rental unit list, and we're going to take a look at some of the other groups. So let's go down to some of the wheel loaders. So here's another example. Here's a wheel loader group that has its own special category, and they're also linked to fixed assets just like before. If I take a look at the actual rental unit, under the related section, there's an action called rental statistics. Okay, so on rental statistics, it gives us information about the fixed asset, the rental that's happened on it, service that's happened on it, and some ROI metrics. Okay, so you can see this was acquired on 4/30/2024 with an acquisition cost of $158,500. The depreciation to date that's been assessed against it. And again, this is based off the cutoff date. If I want to go back in time and see what it was at, start of December, I can just change that date and these numbers will adjust accordingly. And then we can see what the net book value is, right? It's still a $103,000 net book value. Okay, on the rental revenue side, here's the revenue is generated. So there's the rental side. It's been on a couple of different contracts. Here's the metered usage that's been charged against it. So depending on how you've set up your prices, we track that the different revenue sources independently. So you can see I've got the revenue for rentals, the revenue for metered usage, periodic usage, standby revenue, damage waiver, additional fee. That additional fee could be environmental fees, that we see that being used often. And then we get into some of the other stuff on the cost side. So standard fixed asset maintenance is in this as well. So if you're using standard FA maintenance as tracking your maintenance costs, right? You don't have to use our service. Our service is really good, but you don't have to use that. If you use standard FA maintenance to track your maintenance costs against a fixed asset, then that's included. In this case, we're using both. Okay, so when I first acquired it, I did some service through FA maintenance. Now I'm doing it through the service tickets and planned maintenance tickets. And then we can track that information here. If it's charged back to the customer, say we have a charge back for something that we're charging back to a customer on a rental contract, that'll show as revenue. Now I should make this clear. If the unit, if you're servicing a customer's piece of equipment, then there will be a billable component, right? But usually if you're servicing your own equipment, there will be no billable component to it. And then we can see what the set revenue is, and then some rental metrics, average rental revenue earned, total days available, total days on rent, time utilization, revenue utilization, and annualized ROI. So that all of that is information that's available on the rental unit. Now, if you have a service unit that's linked to a fixed asset directly and not a rental unit, then you'd probably see things a little different. In this case, everything's pretty much on a rental unit, but I can, again, go in on the service side and see the related service history. Okay, so here's all of the tickets it's been on and the dates that it was serviced. So it was on a service ticket, most recently a week ago, right? And then if I look at that, it drills directly in to see what was done. Oh, a hydraulic service was done and a basic service. Perfect. Okay, so there's the service history. If you need to track actual components that were added and removed, we have that in the service ledger entries. Okay, so if I rip through here, you can see, here's some items that were included: an oil filter, a gasket, number of times it's gone in for oil filter and whatnot. If there's a serialized part that's being included, you'll see the part serial number in this last column, and then you can track that if there's been a recall on certain serials or whatnot. You can track that in the service history. Okay, now the last piece. What do we do when it's at end of life? Okay, so a couple different things. On the sales side, we can sell it, right? So if I create a sales order and then I'll just create a new one here, say customer, 10,000, and we're going to sell him. Let's make that a little bigger. And then we're going to choose from the fixed assets. Okay, so again, we look up into, I'm going to select from full list. I'm going to say where acquired is true. So there's one of my light trucks. Let's pick number 10. Okay, so again, we're going to sell that through the sales module, right? We're going to sell it. I don't know. I bought this for probably 50. We're going to sell it for 35, right? We've used it for a little while, so that's good. Okay, so once I post this, yes. Nope. Now, if I go back into the fixed asset module, we should be able to see that that particular light truck has been disposed of. Okay, so its book value is now 0. If we look up into the gain or loss, oh, dang it, I lost 14,000. But that's not including the revenue it generated on the rental side, right? And now I can mark this as inactive. Okay, it prompts me, it says, you've got a related rental unit. Do you want to mark it? And I say yes. And, oh, it's got a reservation. So I should have undone that. We're definitely going to have to choose a different unit. Let's go into the rental. Actually, let's just look at the rental unit here. There we go. When you actually drill into the rental unit, you can actually see where it's on rent. So a reservation, but it hasn't been sent out yet. So it's on half-ton trucks. Okay. So if I go into the rental, I got to assign a different rental unit. So I'm going to go into rental contracts. This is the one, I'm sure. Nope. So I'll probably get rid of this in the reel. Light truck. Okay, how come let's try that again. Group availability matrix. Okay. So based on today, reserved 10. Oh, it's in service. That's why. Okay. That's why. So I got to take it out of service. Maybe that's why we sold it, right? Because it's not, it's being broke down too much. So there's my LT10. All I need to do is change the service to no longer, and it removes that reservation. And then from the fixed asset, I can mark it as now being inactive. Yes. Ta-da. Okay, so now when I go into my rental units, you'll see that LT10 is no longer in the list because it's been marked as inactive as well. Okay, the other way to dispose of an asset is to basically use the FAGL journal. That is, standard Business Central stuff. I'm not really going to get into that. We also have the ability to automatically transfer a unit from on rent into a sales line. So if these two are on rent, they're not. Okay, so let's ship these two. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to change our posting date. I'm going to go forward to 2/14. We're going to say it's we're going to return and we're going to mark this one as loss and damage. Okay, so what this loss and damage feature does is it automatically takes the unit off its original rental and then adds it onto the sales line for the suggested sales price or the replacement cost. I can't really remember which one, but if we go ahead, excuse me, and now return rentals. Yes. Are you sure you want to continue? Yes, without meeting a return inspection. No, because we're selling it. Okay. And now you'll see that that original line is off rent. And now we have that fixed asset has been added for the suggested sales price. And now if I post the invoice, you'll see this is just like what I did on the sales side, but it's basically taken a rental unit, including it on an invoice. There's my light truck, my fixed asset LT7, right? Now I should be able to, just like I did before, go into the rental units. LT7 is gone. And if we look at the fixed assets, LT7 has been sold and is now inactive. Okay. Okay. I think that was everything that I wanted to go over, including the disposal of the fixed assets, and then how we basically, if you sell it on a rental contract, it's automatically deactivates the rental unit, and you can mark that fixed asset as inactive.
All right. Thank you so much for walking through that with us, Darren. That was really insightful. For everyone that wants to continue to follow us and get more of this content, you can follow Darren on LinkedIn or follow our company page, RUX. We have pretty much every other week a new webinar that will cover the ins and outs of the rental and service capabilities within our system. Again, a lot of this product is built on the feedback of our customers and built specifically for your industry. So we're super excited to share this with you continually on a regular basis. For anyone that wants to see our other products, we have over 36 products across our rental service and toolbox. So go ahead and download our product guide to see what additional capabilities we have across the entire Business Central ecosystem. Again, thank you so much for your time today, Darren, for walking us through that. And thank you everyone for hanging out with us today.